As a non-US resident, if you want to start selling to American customers through Shopify or TikTok Shop, you've probably been stressed out about whether you can actually do this legally from outside the United States. And here's the thing. You absolutely can run a US e-commerce business as a foreigner, but you need to set up the right structure first. Specifically, you need a US LLC, a US business bank account, a US phone number, and in some cases, a US representative to handle certain platform requirements. But most non-residents get stuck because they don't know which state to form their LLC in, which banks actually accept foreign owners, or whether they'll owe US taxes on their sales. So as someone who has already helped thousands of international entrepreneurs set up US e-commerce businesses successfully, and as the founder of LLC Toolkit Pro, a platform that helps you form LLCs, I want to walk you through exactly how to run a US Shopify store and TikTok shop with an LLC as a non-resident. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so let's start with the foundation, which is forming your US LLC as a foreign entrepreneur. And the good news is, this is actually the easiest part of the process. So first of all, you don't need to be a US citizen, you don't need a visa, and you don't need to visit the United States to form an LLC. You simply choose a state, file your articles of organization, and hire a registered agent to receive legal documents on your behalf. For e-commerce businesses, Wyoming and New Mexico are the most popular choices because they have low annual fees, no state income tax, and strong privacy protections. Next, once your LLC is approved, you need to get an EIN from the IRS. This is your business tax ID number. As a non-US resident, you'll apply using Form SS4 by mail or fax. You write foreign where it asks for your social security number. The IRS will process your application and mail your EIN letter within 4 to 6 weeks. You also need to get a US business address. This can be a virtual mailbox service like Anytime Mailbox or US Global Mail. This address will be used on your business documents, your bank account application, and your platform verifications. It typically costs $10 to $50 per month. Now here's one that surprises many of my clients. Getting the LLC and EIN is the easy part. The hard part is opening a US bank account and meeting platform requirements, which we'll cover next. So let's talk about how to actually open a US business bank account as a non-resident, because this is where most people get stuck. So first of all, forget about traditional banks like Chase, Bank of America, or Wells Fargo. They typically won't work with foreign LLC owners, and even if they do, they require you to visit a branch in person. Instead, focus on digital banking platforms that are specifically designed for international entrepreneurs. The 3 best options are Mercury, Wise Business, and Relay. Mercury is extremely popular with e-commerce sellers and accepts non-US residents. You can apply entirely online using your LLC documents, your EIN, and your passport. Wise Business is great if you're dealing with multiple currencies and international payments, and Relay is another solid option with good reviews from foreign business owners. Next, you need to understand that these banks will ask for your LLC formation documents, your EIN confirmation letter, your operating agreement, and proof of your identity. Make sure all your documents show consistent information, especially your business address. Plus, here's the important part. Once you have your US bank account, you can connect it to Shopify payments, TikTok Shop, Stripe, PayPal, and all the major payment processors. This is how you'll actually receive money from your US customers. Now, believe it or not, many non-residents successfully open these accounts within a few days to a few weeks. The key is having all your documents ready and applying to the right banks from the start. Now, with all of that said, you're probably wondering, do I actually need a US phone number? And the answer is yes, you definitely need one. So first of all, Most US banks, payment processors, and platforms like Shopify and TikTok require a US phone number for verification and two-factor authentication. They'll send you codes via SMS, and some won't accept international numbers. The good news is you don't need to physically be in the US or buy a SIM card. You can rent a US phone number through services like Google Voice, OpenPhone, or TalkRoot. These services give you a real US phone number that can receive calls and texts, and they forward everything to your international phone or email. They typically cost $10 to $30 per month. Next, when you're setting up your Shopify store, your TikTok Shop seller account, and your bank account, use this US phone number consistently. It makes you look more legitimate and helps you pass verification checks more easily. So let's switch gears here for a little bit and talk about the specific requirements for TikTok Shop and Shopify, because these platforms have different rules. So first of all, Shopify is very friendly to non-US residents. Once you have your LLC, your US bank account, and your US phone number, you can set up a Shopify store and connect Shopify payments without any issues. Your LLC documents are enough to verify your business, and you can operate everything from outside the United States. Next, TikTok Shop is more complicated. TikTok requires US sellers to have a US operational presence, which usually means having someone in the United States who can handle returns, customer service, or fulfillment. If you have a friend, family member, or business partner in the US who can act as your representative, that's perfect. You can list them as your US contact on your TikTok Shop application. You also need to understand that TikTok Shop has two types of accounts. There's TikTok Shop Affiliate, where you're just promoting other people's products, and there's TikTok Shop Seller, where you're actually selling your own inventory. For the seller account, you'll need US inventory or a fulfillment partner in the United States. Many non-residents use third-party logistics or 3PL companies to handle this. Plus, your LLC documents can absolutely be used to prove monetization eligibility for TikTok. I've done this myself, and I've helped many clients do the same. Now let's quickly talk about taxes, because this stresses people out. If you're selling to US customers but you're operating from outside the US, you generally don't owe US income tax on those sales. Why? Because you don't have a permanent establishment or physical presence in the United States. However, you still need to file Form 5472 and Form 1120 annually with the IRS to report your business activity. You should work with an accountant who understands international tax law to make sure you're compliant. As for the term US operational presence, don't overthink it. If your LLC has a US address, a US bank account, and a US phone number, you're good for most platforms. Some platforms like TikTok Shop may want a US representative, but that's easily handled by having someone in the US listed as your contact. Now, at the time of this video, thousands of non-US residents are successfully running Shopify stores and TikTok shops using US LLCs. The process is straightforward if you follow the right steps. Form your LLC, open a digital bank account with Mercury or Wise, get a US phone number, and set up your platforms. If you need a US representative for TikTok Shop, find a trusted partner or use a fulfillment service. And remember to stay compliant with tax filings even if you don't owe US taxes. Now look, forming an LLC yourself is very stressful. And as someone who has formed LLCs for most of my businesses, I won't recommend the DIY approach. But use LLC services. All you need to do is avoid overpaying for any services. Make sure to use our LLC cost calculator. The link is inside the video description. Thank you for watching.